Okay, I've just done the second shrink on the wing, and I'm setting the iron now to 350 degrees Fahrenheit to do the third and final shrink. The iron, if you can, I don't know if you can see that, the display on the infrared thermometer here, but it's sort of cycling between about 300 and 350. It's not going above 350 by very much. I'm happy with that there, because as soon as it starts cooling down, because it comes in contact with a piece of metal or something on the wing, it'll start heating up. There it is on its way up now, 340, 345, 347, 354, 356, 353. It peaked out 356. Okay, that's a bit higher than it was earlier, but what can you do? Okay, here's the subject of the shrink. All I really intend doing is shrinking every other panel, and then coming back and shrinking the alternate ones. The one thing I'm really concerned about is the end rib being unsupported with the wingtip not attached. The fabric can pull that rib out of shape, and I don't really know, I won't know until I take the wing off this jig and try and fit the wingtip back to it, to see how I go. You can imagine that end rib here doesn't have any reason not to pull in. It'll pull out of shape, I imagine, quite easily. That's the only bother I have. The rest of it seems to have gone reasonably well. Having the second shrink, the first shrink was a few weeks ago. It's reasonably firm. I did one shrink on this side, then turned it upside down and did the other shrink. Now I've turned it back up the same way again as I started, and I'll do the third shrink on this side. So that's the plan of attack. It's no big deal. The trick, we'll just start here because that's where the camera's pointed. Actually, the camera's not pointed there. Let's have a look. Yeah, it more or less is. The real trick is like ironing your shirt. You don't stick the iron down and let it just sit there and vegetate. You've got to keep it moving. We're not slowing down, we're not stopping in one place, but we're also not going fast either. It's nice, steady, even movement. Before I started this, I went down, made sure all the tapes were ironed down properly. None of them were trying to lift, and they're not. They're pretty good. They're actually pretty good. So that's lovely and warm for starters. No more, and then just miss a panel and do the next one. Again, being careful with the tapes. And there we go. We'll call that done. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and I'll bring it back if there's anything interesting. Well, that's the third and final shrink on this side. I'm just going to roll it over and do the final shrink on the other side. Let's see how we go. Okay. I still haven't figured out the rollover stands properly yet, but we're getting there. Just put you over there out of the way. I'll start on this panel this time. See, when that shrinks, it definitely pulls this rib out of alignment. So it is going to be gentle. Not get too carried away. I'll still use the do one, miss one routine. This is purely to try and get the pressure even on all of them as I go. I guess you could probably pull the wing out of shape if you tried hard enough. Probably have to try fairly hard. Leading edge metal, the metal underneath. And that, I think that's necessary. I try not to wind the heads of the rivets. There's no future in that. You just wear through the fabric. And there we go. We call this shrunk. All right, let's get on with the second wing. This is the bottom of the second wing. This surface has already had its first shrink. It's at 250 degrees. Before I shrink it any further, I have to put the top fabric on and shrink that to 250 degrees. And then of course we can cut these tapes off at all exactly the same length, put our 2-inch tape across the top and so on. But step one for today is turn the wing over and shrink the upper fabric the same as this, down to the same, down to that first shrink level. There's a lot more work goes onto the bottom of the wing than actually goes onto the top. The top, I'm trying my best to keep it as nice and clean as I can. Aerodynamically clean, not physically clean. And that's just, you know, it shouldn't have, you know, hatches cut in it and that sort of thing, if you can help it. And at the moment, I don't have anything like that. The top will look pretty good, but at the moment, I'll turn it over and you'll see the top surface should look a little bit like an unmade bed. Right, what? Yeah. Let's move this over here, about there somewhere, and turn it over. We can, the wing doesn't weigh very much, and it'd be very easy to get it out of control. There it is, right there. Yeah, look at that fabric. Looks, like I say, looks like an unmade bed. Well, we're going to correct that. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave it turned on and I'm going to start the shrinking process. I've got it to the point where it's ready to shrink, and all you really need to do to get it to be ready to shrink is to glue down all of the perimeter. So it has its perimeter glued all the way around, down the rear main spar, along the leading edge, and along the other rib at the end rib at the other end, and of course this end as well onto the fuel tank. But yeah, what we're going to, all we need to do is shrink that down, and I'll let you watch this because it actually is one of the most satisfying parts of the whole procedure. When it goes from an unmade bed to a nice tight wing fabric is very, very satisfying. Stand by. You're right, I did lie to you. I didn't actually leave you turned on. I went and set the iron up. Here's our infrared thermometer, and there's the iron over there if you can see it. And there's 218, 219, 214. It goes up to about 252. There it is, just kicking on now. 205, 6, 7, 203. Meant to be 250. Stupid thing. And the warm spot on the iron is right about here, right about that area there. There's 242. Yeah. 250 is what we're aiming for, and it'll cycle between about 200 and 252. So, okay, we'll call that good enough. If anything, it might be a little bit below what we want, but that's okay. We'll pick it up on the next shrink. So, we can start anywhere really, but like I did with the other wing, we'll do one panel, miss one, do one, miss one, and do it that way. See, I don't know, let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can see pretty well. Right here near the fuel cap, there's some wrinkles, which you may not be able to see, but we'll try and take them out. I'm not pressing down at all on the iron. I'm actually lifting it. Look at that. And yeah, very, very gentle downward pressure. The weight of the iron, basically. And that's just about ironed the wrinkles out fairly well. There's still a bit here. That's okay. No worries. We'll get a little bit up the front here. In this general area. Look at that. Wrinkles are coming out beautifully. Even down onto the leading edge. The fabric on the leading edge needs to be shrunk as well. Look at that. Isn't that magnificent? You know, it's pretty good. That's enough. We don't need to get carried away. And we'll jump over. And this panel here is really quite slack and quite bowed. Let's see what we can do with it. We'll leave this one. Go on to this one. Up there. Moving all the time. We're not staying in one spot. We're not moving rapidly, but we are moving. Looking pretty good. Down on top of the rib even. But again, I'm not pressing down on the iron. It's just very light pressure. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Let's have a look what you can see from this end. You can't see very much. Okay. All right, I'll bring you around here and try and show you the next panel. You see that one that's nice and shiny? This one here, nice and smooth, not like an unmade bed at all. But look at the one next to it, and the little one next to that. We're going to do the little one next. Okay. There's wrinkles and things here in this vicinity on this small one. We'll see if we can take them out. We'll start with them. I think they're coming out. And then we'll go up and do this small run, this small panel. Now, you should be able to see two nice flash panels, that skinny one and this one, which are, and compare them to the one in the middle. The one in the middle still looks like an unmade bed. Yeah? But look at that. This is really, really satisfying because it's quick. You're watching it in real time. You know, we're less than 5 minutes into it, and we've already got 3 panels that are looking pretty good. And before that we had, whatever it is, 10 panels that didn't look so good. So we'll play on. Gets a bit boring after this, I suppose, because the others are going to turn out the same. They're not going to suddenly turn different. Do this one. Oops, that's not the one I was supposed to do. I was supposed to do this one. That's okay. That's fine. Don't iron the rivets. I think ironing the rivets would be very bad. You'll wind up breaking through the fabric. Oh yes, that's good. That's very good indeed. Don't dare let your partner see that you can iron things. That's probably a bad thing. Otherwise you'll be doing your own shirts forever. Did that sound sexist at all? Look at that. Now this one. How's that? Just picking up a couple of bits and pieces here. Matter of fact, oh, there's still some wrinkles just here. But they'll go. Along this rear spar. I'm going to go over the other side now and do the intermediate panels, or the interspace panels. I'll start back down this end again on the fuel tank end, and I'll do them and the leading edge. Just bring you back over this way so you can see what I'm doing. I'll come about there somewhere. I'm trying to do this panel here next. This little panel, this one, You can go slower on this one because the fuel tank is underneath the foot of the iron right now, underneath the pad of the iron, and it's being a big heat sink, and it's sucking up the heat from the iron. So it's not burning the fabric or anything silly like that. And plus the iron is, remember, it's set at 250 degrees, so it's not going to damage the oh, look at that, beautiful. Not going to damage the fabric. There's still work to do here, and I'll probably do that with the small iron, but it's looking really sweet, really good. Do the leading edge as well as we go. A little bit here on top of the rib. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Where are we up to? This one. Look at that. Absolutely, absolutely fabulous. This small one up this end needs a little bit of work. And of course on the leading edge needs a little bit of work as well. Beautiful. There's a lot of work to get the wing up to this stage. Was a lot of work over the last few weeks. Well, actually a lot of work to build the structure of the wing for starters, and then a lot of work to get it up to this point, and then just a few minutes and you finish it off. That is the most satisfying part. Little bit here. The yeah, these ribs are not very flash. Some of them are pretty poor, and that's fairly much how they were made. I've got the wrinkles out of them the best I can, but it's still not perfect. That's out of the ribs itself, not out of the fabric. I'll get the wrinkles out of the fabric, that's no problem. But getting the wrinkles out of the ribs is a different story. And that's something you have to do. You have to make the ribs as smooth as possible. The flanges 90 degrees to the web. It's just what you do. That's beautiful. Actually, that one needs a bit more down that direction. Leading edge. This leading edge is pretty ordinary. The fabric is pretty ordinary. It needs to be shrunk up, and it is responding. There we go. Alright, well, I think I'll leave the video now. I'll leave it where it is. And I'll go ahead and look for any bits that are not really responding very well to being shrunk, and I'll work on them. I don't see too many at the moment, but I imagine it's going to be pretty boring for you watching what I'm doing. But anyway, Yeah, I can see some ripples in this panel down the rear main spar area. I'll sort them out in a minute. Beautiful. These ones just here. A little bit just there. And yeah, I might grab I'll grab the small iron and work on some of the bits between the rivets and so on. Which one are we looking at? This one or that one? Both that one and the next one. Okay. Yeah. Well, that doesn't look too flash here. What have I done? Oh, I haven't done this one at all. That's why. There it is. Responding very well indeed. Here. Along there. Here. Maybe along this one. Now bear in mind as well, this is just the first shrink. I've got to do it 2 more times yet. This is at 250. I do it at 300 and then at 350. So we don't have to try and do the complete, get it perfect in the first go. We've got several more bites at the cherry, so to speak. But I'll get it as good as I can with this first shrink, and then we're just going to build on that with the next 2 shrinks. Oh, that looks good. That does. You know, if you can't see that looks good, then obviously you need to go to Specsavers. Simple as that. Absolutely fabulous. Yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. Now there'll be some areas that haven't responded very well. That's okay. I have this small iron, which Rosie, my friend Rosie, lent me, and I can go with this and go through, you know, between rivets and so on, and shrink the fabric in between the rivets. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm not going to show it. It's that's going to be fairly boring for you. Not that this was exciting. It's exciting to me. Probably not to you. So yeah, that's what I intend doing now. And so the next job here is to put the 1/2-inch reinforcing tape along the rivet lines. Yeah, glue that down. Rivet it down with the big-headed aluminium rivets. You've seen all this before. If you haven't, go back and look at the have a look at the previous videos. And then we put 1.5-inch fabric tape over the top of the whole thing. That'll probably, I'm not going to video that, it's already been videoed. Even shrinking the fabric's been videoed, but I was just pretty excited to show you that again this afternoon. So those jobs will continue over the next few days. The other wing, the next job on the other wing is to actually dilute the this EcoBond, the green stuff, is to dilute that. I think it's 10% water, but I'll look up the manual and see what it has to say, and then paint all the white bits. That's the other wing, not this one. And then it's ready for the high build primer, and it's not called that, but whatever their version of high build primer is called. Then the regular white primer over the top of that, and then the actual colour. So we're actually moving slowly in the right direction. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope it encourages you to get out there and build your own. Okay, bye now.